Good morning. It's been a wonderful, wonderful week in fantasy football. A mildly discouraging week in real football. My Texans got, upset. I wouldn't call it an upset, but they were definitely going to win that game before Tom Terrific goes and hits Brandon Cooks for a monster touchdown. My D was just gassed. They'd been on the field a little too long. Couldn't get a pass rush, couldn't defend it. But that's neither here nor there. That will be improved. You can't play the Pats every week. I like what I saw from my Texans. But there were some games last week. There were some monster games last week, if you know what I'm talking about. We had some incredible high-flying teams last week. I mean, we had two people go over 200? Over 200? This was an incredible week. And we also had some mild lows. We had a team that couldn't break 60 points. That was kind of discouraging to watch a whole team just implode on itself, considering they've been in the playoff picture for 3 weeks in a row. I mean, and still running. I mean, this team is a powerhouse, but last week, shat the bed. It's kind of odd. Let's go ahead and recap all of the scores from last week. My predictions, if you will. First off, we had the game of the week. Disabled Vigilantes versus Chicago Chalupas. Now, we have the champ. He hadn't lost a game in a minute. Only lost one game last year. But guess what? Disabled Vigilantes, you got to play them twice, bro. You got to play them twice, bro. And guess what? You lost that first matchup. You had that first matchup coming. It was a loss that was due to you. How will you respond next week? I had myself winning this game. Disabled Vigilantes, just a beast of a team. Todd Gurley with the darn near 40 burger. Le'Veon Bell getting the 20 plus points. I mean, we had some scares, especially between the tight end flex and the defensive player position and the defense in total. That didn't go as planned, but Disabled Vigilantes still pulled out the win. Right now, I am 1-0 with my picks last week. Let's go to Aaron Hill's team, insert shitty name here, versus When I Dip, You Dip. So, Aaron Hill, I typically pick him to win these matchups, and lo and behold, this guy almost reached the 200-point mark. He had a wonderful waiver wire acquisition in Jacoby Brissett. However, he did leave Kirk Cousins on his bench, but Kirk Cousins going against the Raiders, you never know how those games are going to play out, but Kirk Cousins looked on fire. And obviously, Kareem Hunt, probably the most dynamic fantasy player in our league, just doing the damn Dizzo. And Christian McCaffrey showing up. This, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen in grand proportion like this. So, Aaron Hill, insert shitty name here. They get the victory. I'm 2-0 on my picks. Hey, When I Dip, You Dip. You're not going to face teams like that every week. Keep your head up, son. I think you got an easy matchup coming up this week. Let's see if I pick you, though. We got Down Goes Frazier versus Bull City. Down goes Frazier. I'm not sure if this is just bad luck, but this guy, oh my God. How do you go? You put up 170 points, which is exquisite. Let's not shortchange that. I mean, obviously you had a guy in your flex that got 0 points. You mean Nelson Aguilar, he got 4 points. Jesse James you need some diversity on this squad. And I'm talking to a team that just scored 170 points. Still, those inadequacies allowed you to get beat by a team that scored 206 points. Let's go ahead and look at Bull City's roster. I mean, very little less than 5-point production. Obviously, you want to be in double digits with all your players, but if you got Russell Wilson throwing up 40 burgers, you got Stephon Diggs throwing up 40 burgers, you can allow for a little lackluster performances from, say, I don't know, your main running back in C.J. Anderson. This is a team that lost David Johnson. No excuses. Came out, put up 200 plus points. I ended up losing that. I could have sworn Down Goes Frazier was going to just dismantle Bull City and have that guy hiding under a bed for the rest of the fall, but it did not go that way. Down Goes Frazier, hits the mat. It went 12 rounds, but a haymaker from Bull City put that man and his teeth on the floor. Moving on, we got Lazy Pugs versus A Storm Is Brewing. Now, I think I had Lazy Pugs winning this matchup. I mean, it just seems like Lazy Pugs' team, out of both squads, neither one of them are ideal to pick. But with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas going up against basically Leonard Fournette, I mean, that's basically who he's going up against. I had to go with Lazy Pugs, and A Storm Is Brewing didn't even reach the century mark. Those are Dudley performances, just super Dudley performances. You got your defense getting you -6 points, holding you back. Matt Prater almost hit up 20. Almost put up 20. That should have been on your verge to being at least 175, but the rest of your team looks like hammered dog shit. And Lazy Pugs takes advantage. He only scored 111 points, which is subpar. But guess what? If you don't break the century mark, it's good enough. Now Lazy Pugs is 2-1, tied for the best in the West. Oh my God. Is Lazy Pugs relevant? This guy used to be a playoff contender all the time. Maybe he's found a recipe to just hang in there until the playoffs and then soar. Kind of like our next owner did. Let's talk about a team that was 0-2. Let's talk about a team that was written off, by myself included. His bench looked in tatters, almost like he hadn't even looked at his roster for the past 2 weeks. I had written this guy clean off the map, and he was going up against The Grind Is Real. The Grind Is Real was 2-0. The Grind Is Real has been in every playoff prediction since week 1. I mean, this was a blowout, right? This was an extreme blowout. And to your credit, if you thought that, you were right. Unfortunately, the roles were reversed. We had a little Freaky Friday situation going here where Flawless Victory jumped into The Grind Is Real's body and said, "Look at me, I'm a champion." And guess what? Dak Prescott didn't disappoint. DeMarco Murray didn't disappoint. Carlos Hyde didn't disappoint. T.Y. Hilton didn't disappoint. OBJ pissing on niggas and said, "Guess what? I'm a dog." And so is Flawless Victory. We're dogs in this bitch. The Grind Is Real over there, scared, hiding under his bed sheets, going, "Please stop. My anus can't take anymore. Please stop." Welcome to the hustle. And guess what? Flawless Victory is popping off rocks in it. Like, you don't know where the load is coming from. He's just making it rain. A heavenly load of just white drizzle coming down. You don't know where it's coming from, but Flawless Victory does. It's coming in the form of 210 points, motherfucker. And guess what? You can't compete. So what do? You just take off your shoes, relax your feet, and make this nigga something to dinner. You make him something to eat real quick. Guess what? He ate your cookies, bro. That's what he did. He ate them cookies and left you there to pick up the pieces. With a performance like that, 59.3 points, -6 from your defense, slowing you down. Phillip Rivers looking like old man Rivers in this motherfucker. I can't believe how the Grind Is Real's team performed. Zeke did his thing, 18 points, but where's the rest of the squad? Where's the rest of the squad? It looks ridiculous with Michael Crabtree only grabbing one ball, Jeremy Maclin only grabbing one ball, Kyle Rudolph only grabbing one ball. What the fuck is going on? Is what would be in my head right now. I can't even fathom having a team of this caliber. But, less than 60 points. If you're gonna have everybody fail, it might as well be in 1 week. And hope that everybody comes back fresh as daisies to support Zeke in his efforts to make your team a Super Bowl or a Fantasy Bowl champion. But we have one more matchup on the docket. We had Classy Strippers versus Miami Dice. two of the best names in the league. So we have on one side of the fence a team in the Central Division, and then we have another side of the fence, the guy in first in the Central Division. That's what this battle came down to. Who was going to run the Central Division, who was just going to be, the leftovers in that division. And guess who stepped up to the task? None other than a former champion, Classy Strippers. He had Brandon Cooks go off against my Texans. I mean, we kind of knew how this was going to go. Marcus Mariota doing his thing, looking like the next coming. And Dalvin Cook, oh my God. And, the rest of the team kind of was lackluster, but when you got monster performances by those individuals, Tyreek Hill grabbing you a little 20-burger, a little something to tide you off, you're going to win this matchup. He scored a respectable 156 points, which you got to do to be a staple in this league. You got to be in that 130 to 160 range week in and week out. And if you can't do it, something's wrong with your team. I don't know. We had Miami Dice last week looking like an all-star. But this week, Cam Newton not producing. Now you're kind of in that quarterback purgatory zone. Will this guy become the man that he once was? And then you got guys like James White. With the Patriots, you have no idea who's going to be the star of that team. You have no idea what the game plan is, because if you did, Bill Belichick would have that man shot. So, and then you got Terrell Pryor. I expected Kirk Cousins in his massive fantasy day to target Terrell Pryor more frequently. Unfortunately, that did not occur. But, out of all of these matchups, I had Miami Dice winning that one. And that goes for with a lot of those other picks. I ended up 3-3, the same as last week. 3-3 on my picks. I don't know. I want to be above 500 with these picks. I really want to get them all right. But 2-4 week 1, 3-3 week 2, 3-3 week 3. I'm bound to hit my stride and figuring out how these players are going to perform, But let's see how I do in week 4. Let's see what week 4 looks like. Now, I got my games of the week. I got my picks, but I don't want to forget about week 3's fantasy stud, fantasy dud, and most improved. Don't want to forget about those because they're important. I really feel that they're important. And I'm going to start off with the most improved. I think I got a really tough decision with who I chose for most improved. So what I did was had a most improved. We had both 0-2 squads going up against really, really tough matchups. And they both came out victors. We currently have no teams with a goose egg in the win column. So my most improved goes to Flawless Victory, who had the most points this week with 210.7. And then we had Aaron Hill, insert shitty name here, with 189 points, almost in that 200 range. And it was a tough matchup. I had him winning that matchup, but When I Dip You Dip has had flares and flashes of success, but Aaron Hill's team just blew it out of the water. So we have 2 most improved teams, and both of those squads going forward look devastating. They look like they're going to be a force in their respective divisions. But let's go ahead and make the fantasy stud of the week. And now, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm definitely giving myself fantasy stud of the week. Not only did I walk in there and say, hey champ, guess what? Here's a knuckle sandwich for you, brother, and then knock that guy down a notch. I ended up being one of the best of the week. I mean, there were a few teams that scored more than me, but let's talk about consistency. There's very few teams that have more points overall than Disabled Vigilantes. So, give myself this week for beating the champ, giving the champ his first loss of the season. This guy's got to play me twice, and Hey, that's by design. This guy is gonna play me twice. The champ doesn't get an easy road to the freaking playoffs. He's gotta earn his way. Fantasy Stud, Disabled Vigilantes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have our dud. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to find in the history of the Pride League a team that scored this few points. He scored 59.3 points, and he's been a stud all year. 2-0, probably a favorite to win his division, but came in there and just laid an egg. The grind is real, isn't panicking, and rightfully so. He has a wonderful team that just, hit a bump in the road or basically drove into a crater. I don't know which, but we're going to find out here in the future. So, the grind is real gets my fantasy dud of the week, 59.3. It's almost hard to overlook how low that score is. It's bad. So, now that we got Fantasy Stud, Dud, Most Improved out of the way, let's go ahead and see what my picks look like. Let's look into the future and see who's gonna win these matchups, because it's fun to see where we're at. It's fun to see who's going to win these matchups. And let's start off with myself. Let's go ahead and start off with Disabled Vigilantes just because we can. We got Bull City coming into town. And last week, I was trying to fight for supremacy in the West. Not in the West, but in the East, because, we're the beasts of the East. And Bull City came in and did a miraculous job, just knocking off his opponent. So now, last week, Chicago Chalupas had to fight for supremacy there. And guess what? I'm tied for first in the East again. And I need to knock off Bull City real quick. I have to do this. You have to knock off divisional opponents if you want to make the playoffs this year. And that's indicative. I mean, we don't have a team with a goose egg on the win column. We don't have an undefeated team this year. This is the year of win your division. That's what it's about. And who do I have winning this divisional matchup? This basically game of the week. I have none other than Disabled Vigilantes winning this. I mean, it's going to be close. I really think that even without David Johnson, this guy's got enough playmakers to put up a significant fight. My team is composed of a lot of stable individuals, guys that are just going to hit the mark and may occasionally burst up and grab me a 40 burger. Thank you, Todd Gurley, last week. I'm not expecting a 40 burger from Gurley every week. That was a career day for that man. But I do expect 15 to 25. Give it to me, baby. But I digress. Disabled Vigilantes will be the lone man at the top when it's all said and done after week 4. Moving on, we got Down Goes Frazier versus Classy Strippers. Now, can Down Goes Frazier lose again in this kind of fashion? I don't think so. I don't think Classy Strippers has the high potency to put up 200, but he does have enough to get this win. I really just don't see Down Goes Frazier's team putting up 170 either. But when it comes down to who's got the most stable team, who's got the most consistent players, it's got to be Classy Strippers. Classy Strippers will go the distance with Down Goes Frazier, and by unanimous judge decision will win this fight. So I'm giving this one to Classy Strippers. We got a guy that's in first in the Central. He's going to do whatever it takes to hold on to that and get himself to the playoffs. Whereas the guys in the West are just a little bit competitive. You need this win, Down Goes Frazier. You need it, but I'm afraid you won't get it. Classy Strippers for the victory right there. And we got The Grind is Real going up against Aaron Hill. Insert shitty name here. We got this should be a really good matchup. We got a redemption story in The Grind is Real, and we got Aaron Hill, insert shitty name here, with a chip on his shoulder. After going 0-2, I'm pretty sure those are the only 2 losses that man wants. Who do I have winning this matchup? I got The Grind is Real. Why? Because of the stability. He may have had his whole team lay a goose egg last week, but I guarantee you it won't happen again. I mean, will he score in the 150s? Maybe not, but his team will be stable enough to get that 130 in that area of 150, 160. I really like his team right now. It's going through a bit of a crisis. He really didn't make any moves this week after the goose egg his team laid. But on the other side of the fence, we got Aaron Hill, insert shitty name here, and just a team of explosive motherfuckers. You got Doug Baldwin, who is mildly injured, but guess what? He's gonna make that trip. He's gonna play in that game against Indy, and he's gonna do quite well. I really believe Adam Thielen, no matter who his quarterback is going to succeed. And obviously, you got the best fantasy player in football so far, Kareem Hunt. And Christian McCaffrey looks like he's coming into his zone, starting to blossom into that player that everybody was hoping for. Unfortunately, I'm giving this to the grind is real. I just don't see how this can continue for Aaron Hill, insert shitty team name here. I just can't see it moving in this direction all year. It's gonna dry up, kind of like how the grind is real's team dried up all at one time. So, Aaron Hill, good luck with your team names and fantasy football. 1 and 2, I commend you. I've been voting for you, so I actually think you should win some of these matchups, but unfortunately, not this week. Next, we got a Storm is Brewing versus When I Dip You Dip, and we've got an interesting dynamic. A Storm is Brewing. This is his sophomore year in the league. He just put in a rookie with When I Dip You Dip. So, and both of these teams are vying for last place in the league right now. We got 11th and 12th going at it. This is a toilet bowl if I've ever heard one. And who's supposed to win this one? I have to give it to, I want to give it to the sophomore. That's what I want to do, but unfortunately, I'm giving it to the up and comer. I'm giving it to When I Dip You Dip. Now, he hasn't really touched his team since Darren Sproles went IR, and I'm not sure if he made a play for Wendell Smallwood like I did, and I got him. But a Storm is Brewing definitely has been making strides to improve his team. He picked up Charles Clay. I went for Charles Clay, but I don't think I was going to go over $10 for him. But I do believe he will be a part of that Bills offense. But I just don't see When I Dip You Dip giving this match away. I mean, he's got some injury issues and he's got some running back issues, but I think in the long run, he's going to have a few guys that just blow up, and he's going to put him past, and it's going to make him relevant in the East. So I'm giving this matchup to When I Dip You Dip, but this could easily be a one-sided affair with a Storm is Brewing. So next we got Lazy Pugs versus Chicago Chalupas. Now, Chicago Chalupas took a loss. Will he take 2 in a row? The man hasn't done it in 2 years. I don't see why it would start now. Chicago Chalupas beats Lazy Pugs simply because I don't think Lazy Pugs' team will be able to mount an offensive that's worth 130 points. And if you're going to be Chicago Chalupas, you need to be in the 150 range. His team is solid enough and has enough superstars on it that he's going to reach the 140 mark almost without trying. And don't let most of his team go off. It could be an interesting day. I'm giving this one to Chicago Chalupas only because I don't think he'll lose 2 matches in a row. And next we got Flawless Victory and Miami Dice. I really don't know if Flawless Victory's team is going to drop 200 a week. Obviously, they went 0-2 prior to that, so you really can't make it. You can't make it a standard, right? So Miami Dice has performed very well this year, and he's got some issues, mainly Panther issues, but the rest of his team should be stable enough. But will they be good enough to beat Flawless Victory and his team of miscreants? No, I don't think so. I think Flawless Victory gets his second win second win in a row, and it's against another central opponent. This is a chance to try to compete. This is a chance to win a division that is currently just in the dumps. This division is open for the taking, and if Classy Strippers falls off, someone has to take the mantle, right? I'm giving this one a Flawless Victory because I like his team. The 210 points doesn't hurt from last week. It definitely bodes confidence, and you look forward to starting these guys. OBJ, Sammy Watkins looks good, and Hyde and DeMarco Murray, arguably two of the best running backs, exception to disabled Evangelist with Gurley and Bell. But he's got two great backs, and if Dak Prescott continues his maturation, this could be a runaway. So, who knows? I'm giving it the Flawless Victory. Those are my picks. Like it or love it. But, I mean, you have no choice. You gotta love it. I don't know what else to say. The video is probably long enough. You're tired of hearing me ramble. I want to say good luck to my Texans going up against those Titans. And good luck to everybody in fantasy. It was a wonderful point week. I mean, a lot of touchdowns being scored by active people in people's lineup. So it was exciting, very exciting to watch all these points just get, lighten up the scoreboard. Maybe we'll have it again in week 4. Who knows? So, but we got bye weeks about to occur. So this is where being a fantasy owner, this is the tops. If you want to be a great fantasy owner, you got to manage the bye weeks and you got to manage that waiver wire. So let's see who can come out on top. Let's see who can be the best owner and make this playoff run. I'll catch you guys when I catch you. Peace.